All right, we are live. Welcome to another YouTube live stream. I am continuing my series of eating disorder recovery reviews. This week it is Cambria Joy. She made a video a long time ago about her recovery from an eating disorder. It was one of the first videos I watched of that genre. I was like, I was still in graduate school when she made it. It's still up, and I was going to review that, but it's so old. Say old, it's like 7 years old, but in YouTube year 7 is like 50 years, right? It seems like an eternity ago. So I said, no, let's not do that. She made an updated video right around the beginning of the pandemic, and she talked about the 5 things that she did to overcome it. So that's what I'm going to look at, not necessarily her story, but the 5 keys. So anyway, the point of this, as always, is to learn more about eating disorders and how to recover from them. So let's take a look. I actually have it started at the first timestamp here.
There's no possible way for me to ever be healed and like have a normal relationship with food. I literally thought that's fine for everyone else. Everyone else can live a normal, healthy, happy life. And I will just always be stuck in obsessing about food and trying not to obsess about food. And then
when you've been doing this for so long, it's really easy to believe that you will never recover. Like you will never be normal. I always said that. It's like, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just be like them? Why can't I just be like other people? I mean, other people don't deal with this. I mean, maybe they did. I just didn't know about it. Well, the difference is they didn't have those thoughts. They didn't have the same urges. They didn't have the same cravings. They didn't have the same thought process. I had taught my brain to operate this way. I had made a series of decisions over the years, and this was the result. Other people had not done that. But one thing I never did during all of those years was I never gave up. I never conceded. I never resigned myself to this life. I never said, this is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. I should accept it. There's no way out. It's not that bad. Why don't I just accept it, move on? It's a nuisance. I never got to that point, ever. And I'm glad I never did. I'm glad I stuck it out. I'm glad I figured out a way. Of course, when she made that first video, how I overcame my eating disorder story, whatever it's called, that was what, 7 years ago? So let's just say that was like 2014 or something like that. I didn't realize I had another 4.5, 5 years of this before I got to the finish line. But I never gave up. But when you've been doing this for 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean, some people have been doing this for like 20 or 30 years. What are you thinking after year 27, year 28, year 29? It's kind of demoralizing after a while. It's kind of frustrating. Actually, it's really frustrating. I'm going to skip ahead.
for me, there's not like, oh, here's the answer to your problem. No, it's not linear. It's not just like, okay, just do this and then you'll get here, just follow these steps and then you'll get to the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like,
it's not linear. Like the progress is not linear, but the process of recovery isn't linear either. But it's simple but not easy. That's what I'll say. I mean, I've simplified it as much as I can. I think there are some things that you need to do before you actually recover. I call it deep work. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? That's what's really important. What are your values? What do you want your identity to be? That's where I always start. I always started at step 30, step 40, at least in my failed attempts, at least. I just thought I needed to try harder. I need a better environment. I need to have more discipline. I need to get my crap together. I mean, how many times did I tell myself that? That's not where you start. And this is another reason I don't like 12-step recovery programs, because it's like, 12 steps to recovery, 12 steps. I think that's too simplified. I think there are certain phases of recovery that you need to go through, but it's not like, okay, step 1, this, accept that you are powerless, step 2, blah, 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 step 3. Okay, I get that, but I don't teach 12 steps either. Okay, and there is no equation. There is no one size fits all. Everybody's recovery is going to be a little bit different. And everybody's going to be on a different time scale too. That's important to understand. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare your recovery to other people if you can. All right.
living, you can change your life right now. Now, okay, so the first...
Notice right now. You don't have to wait. This is something that you don't have to wait to do. That's what's cool about it. you don't have control over a lot of things in your life, but this is one thing that you can control. So if there's something in your life that is outside your control and you're not controlling the things that you can't control, don't worry about those things, right? Don't worry about the economy. Don't worry about the Federal Reserve. Don't worry about the Illuminati. Don't worry about, I don't know, World Economic Forum. Don't worry about politics. Focus on the things that you can focus on.
Thing I think is probably the biggest problem is, at least for me, and what I found was a big, massive problem that started this whole thing, was dieting. It was feeling like I had to control every bite of food that went in my mouth.
So this is, remember, she's talking about the 5 things that she did to stop binge eating. So this is the first one, ditch the diet. But as I pointed out, everybody's on a diet. I pointed this out in my unpopular opinions video, which I released last week. Everybody's on a diet. You know, the people that you go see at the buffet and the Chinese restaurants, they're on a diet. Okay, every diet is different, but everybody's on a diet of some sort. When she says ditch the diet, she means drop the very restrictive, obsessive diets. That's when things get really dicey. But everybody's on a diet, if you think about it. You know, vegans, they're on a diet. People who do South Beach, they're on a diet. Carnivores, they're on a diet. Low carb, high carb, they're on diets. Okay, everybody is on it. Even people who don't think they're on a diet are on a diet. What you need to eliminate is the severe restriction and the obsession. That's the first step here. All right. Have I made myself clear?
And let me tell you, I have been there. Diets for me were a security blanket. It was a way for me to feel in control of my life, because if I could control what I was eating and what I was consuming, then I could control how I looked. And
that's pretty much how I felt. I didn't feel like I had any control over my life. I didn't know where I was going. I was 19, 20, 21. I mean, who really knows where they're going when they're that age? Nobody does. I had a major. I didn't know what I was going to do with it because I was 20, 21. No future plans. I don't know what my goals were when I was 21. Like, I don't know what I thought I would be doing when I was 29 or 30. I was not that future oriented. It was all about me, and it was all about now. It was just immaturity in a way, but also insecurity. But what was the one thing I could control? I could control what I ate. I can control my body. I could control my fitness. Those were things that I could control. And I think that was the big appeal for me. I didn't feel like I had control over my life. And that's exactly what Cambria is feeling here.
How I looked dictate how I felt. That when you can believe for so long, that I believed for so long, that if I just look like this, then I'm going to be happy, then I'm going to be satisfied, then I'm going to have joy, then I'm going to be able to buy clothes and feel confident and feel comfortable and just like.
Don't put too much emphasis on how much you look, but you can change the way you look, and it can actually make an improvement in your life. Let's face it, when you lose weight and you look better, your clothes are going to fit better. It's going to be easier to run, easier to move. You're going to get more attention. You're going to get compliments. There are real tangible benefits of losing weight. And there are real reasons to lose weight. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Just because it's not going to fix all your problems, just because it's not going to make you completely happy, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You shouldn't say, okay, once I do this, then I will be completely happy. That is false. That's a false promise. But to say that it won't make any improvement in your life, no, it will make an improvement of your life. Just don't think it's going to change everything. Even if you recover from an eating disorder, don't think that's going to change everything either. It's not. It will improve your health. It'll save you some money. It will improve your mental health, right? It improves a lot of things, but you're still left with a lot of problems. It just solves this one thing. A little back. There we go.
Don't want to say that we believe that lie. A lot of us do believe that lie. That's when it came to this idea of I'm no longer going to live under this diet mentality. So rejecting the diet culture that we live in, rejecting the diet mentality. I'll never forget the
diet culture or diet mentality. I don't think there's such thing as diet culture. Diet culture is a set of unhealthy beliefs. It is an unhealthy fixation on being thin and being really lean. But there's no such thing as diet culture. What is diet culture? It's just, I've never seen a really good definition of it. Is it Instagram? Is it all the photos that we see on Instagram and people posting beautiful, beautiful pictures? Well, the thing is, that's not going anywhere. People are vain, right? People like to show their bodies. People like attraction. I'm no different. You're no different. But is that really diet culture? And I wish diet culture were better explained. And from what I can understand, it is a set of beliefs that compels you to pursue fitness, thinness, or leanness at any cost. But it's not really a culture. It's a mindset. What do you think? What is diet culture? You tell me.
Belief systems, our belief systems literally become what we do. How we think about ourselves becomes what we do with ourselves and with our time and our body, and what foods we eat and what we choose to believe about ourselves become. Beliefs
lead to actions. That's the point. Your belief set will dictate your actions. You act on beliefs. It's an important thing to understand. Like, what you do is based on some fundamental belief, even mundane things, even trivial things that you do every day. Like, I am doing this because I have the belief that if I do a live stream, I can reach a greater audience. If I didn't believe that live streaming would help spread my message, I don't think I would do it, right? I go to bed at 10 o'clock because I believe that if I go to bed at that time, I will get the best amount of sleep. You just go through your day and ask yourself why you do things the way you do. You do it because there is some belief behind that. Okay, we act on belief. We say what we think, we do what we believe. That's really important. Okay, so if I want to know what somebody believes, look at the actions. Okay, all right. Let's go to, how does she progress?
Anything in life, we're going to trip. We're going to have problems. We're going to make mistakes. And that's normal. That's what we call imperfect progress. That's how progress is made. Just like a little kid doesn't get on a bike and then just, become
imperfect progress. So you've probably heard it before, progress over perfection. And it's kind of cliche, but it's true, right? Your progress, your recovery is not going to be perfect. Some days are going to be good. Some days are going to be bad. Just the way it is. But what is the 7-day trajectory? If you look at case counts or death counts of beer bug, it kind of goes up, it kind of goes down, kind of goes down. But what they're looking at is 7-day average. What is the 7-day average? And what we want to see is that going down. Okay, because some days are going to go up, some days are going to go down. If you're trying to lose weight, what's your 7-day average? That's why it's important. Here's a little weight loss tip for you. Measure yourself, like weigh yourself at the same time, same day, same clothes, having gone at least 12 hours without food or water. That gives you a really good average. And then compare that to the week before and the week before. That way, all of these little minor fluctuations, they tend to iron themselves out. All right. So that's why that's like imperfect progress, because not every day is going to be necessarily better than the previous one. But what's the 1 week and the 2 week average? What's the 30-day average here? What are we looking at? All right, let's skip ahead. She's going to get into a little bit of intuitive eating here. She talks about honor your hunger. Whatever. Like, if you get hungry, eat. That's basically all you need to know about that.
Into the next tip, which is give yourself permission to eat. Stop with all the rules of I can't have this and I can't have that.
Give yourself permission within limits. If you are physically hungry, eat. If you are just mentally hungry, maybe not. Okay, 90-10 rule here. 90% of the time, you should be eating on hunger. 90% of the time, you should be eating whole unprocessed foods. 10% of the time, you can eat for fun. 10% of the time, you can eat stuff that is a little more fun, that is really stimulating. Okay, you can have the donuts at the office on Friday morning, if that's what they do. I don't know. Isn't that customary? You bring donuts on Fridays? I don't know. Birthday cake at the party. Beer at your Memorial Day barbecue, if you live in the U.S. That's coming next Monday. Holy crap. That's next Monday. So that's what I'm talking about. 90% of the time, though, it needs to be stuff that is not boring, but whole, unprocessed, not overly stimulating. And it needs to be based out of physical hunger, 90%. Okay, if you are in recovery, I recommend 95, 100%. Once you get through recovery, you can be a little more lenient. Okay, That's my definition of permission to eat. Okay. Hey, I'm hungry. I need to eat. When you are stuck in a really restrictive diet, you don't give yourself that permission. It's like weight loss at any cost. Okay. That's diet culture or diet mentality. That's a better word for it. Diet mentality, the diet state of mind. Like, even though I'm hungry, I'm not going to eat anything. I'm going to fast. I'm only going to have iceberg lettuce. Okay. Because I have this crazy obsession to reach some ideal that won't make me happy in the end. Okay. But permission to eat, this comes straight out of intuitive eating. If you interpret it correctly, it makes sense. But just because you have some thought or craving or some feeling, it doesn't mean you should necessarily act on it. And so it's really easy to misinterpret what this means. Okay. Let's go to 13.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I actually believed. And it's not funny. It was really a real thing. I would tell myself, I'm never going to eat sugar again. I'm never going to eat a cookie again. So I might as well eat as many cookies as I can now.
That's called the Last Supper effect. When you tell yourself that you're never going to eat something again. So you have a lot of it now. Well, what happens is you repeat the cycle over and over and over. You have a lot today because you're not going to have any tomorrow. And then you go a few days, and then if even a few days, and then you say, okay, now this time I mean it for real. Now I'm just going to have a lot of them. And you just repeat the cycle over and over and over. You constantly lie to yourself. It's self-deception. What you're really doing is giving yourself a reason to engage in the behavior. That's what you're doing. Even though you know that you have broken this promise so many times before. You know it's not the Last Supper. You know this is not going to be the last time, and yet you do it anyway because you have this faint hope that it might be the last time. And so you need some excuse, some flimsy excuse to eat 10, 15 cookies or whatever. This is typical dieting behavior. All right. Thanks for pointing that out, Cambria.
Into my body and listen to the signals that my body was giving me of being hungry and full. Specifically, we're going to look at being full. I remember I would ask myself, do I need or want interchangeable?
No, they're not. So this is one thing that I objected to in this video. Need and want are not interchangeable. You need to distinguish between needs and wants. Needs are, I have this horrible sensation of hunger. I have this gnawing hunger in my stomach. I need to eat something. Okay, I've gone 18, 20, 24 hours, 36 hours without eating. I really need something. Okay, that is need. Want is, I don't know what else to do with myself. I want to stimulate myself. I am procrastinating. Okay, I need a stimulant. I need something. That is a want. Distinguish between needs and wants. That's where self-discipline comes in, right? That's where identity comes in. Need versus want. The difference, the gap is self-discipline. Somebody put a good meme on Instagram a couple months ago. It's like, the difference between need and want is self-discipline. Kind of, I'll go with that. If I think about it a little more, it might not be true, but knowing what it is that you need is important. Listen, I want ice cream. Okay, ice cream is always good. I want soft baked chocolate chip cookies. That is not a need. Okay, what do I need? I need good food that has a lot of micronutrients that is going to satiate me and that is going to give me the energy to lift weights and walk and go upstairs. That's what I need. Needs versus wants. All right.
Out a lot, and really, again, gave me the permission to eat, the permission to enjoy the food that I was eating, however much that I wanted. But I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to feel overstuffed. I don't want to feel like it's Thanksgiving every single day of the year. And I felt like that for many years. And so I feel satisfied. I don't want anymore. So again, now that leads me into my next tip, which is to just be kind to yourself. And there will be days, again, like we talked about, that
I would say forgive yourself. If you have an episode, if you don't get the right result, forgive yourself, but also be honest with yourself. What happened? How can you do better? You should be asking yourself that question every day. I always look at my performance, even on mundane tasks, and I ask, okay, what went wrong? What went right? How can I possibly do better next time? Did I forget anything? Did I make wrong turns? How can I optimize my day? How can I make a little bit of improvement? when I had episodes for many years, I would just berate myself and say, no, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I have no self-discipline, I have no self-control. If I just had more self-control, more self-discipline, everything would be good. That's not true. I was ignoring the deep work that I teach now, but I didn't know that then. Okay, I was not kind to myself, but I also didn't forgive myself. And I also didn't look for ways to improve. I just thought, you know what? I need to try harder. I need more self-discipline, blah, blah, blah. And it never worked. Okay, but I don't think I was lacking kindness. I think I was lacking introspection. That's what I needed. I needed to assess the situation, examine the reasons I gave myself, and then try it again. But I didn't do that. I just kept wasting opportunities. And I kept thinking, well, I'll recover then. I'll recover in the future, blah, blah. And so I didn't realize that each episode was a golden opportunity to learn more about myself. Whatever. I'll talk about recovery a little later.
That's really all we want. We want to not feel out of control around food and out of control with our body. And we just want to be able to say, I'm so free that I can eat that, or I can say no, and I have self-control.
Who doesn't want self-control? Everybody wants self-control, right? People tell me all the time, I wish I just had more self-control. I said that to myself. I wish I had more self-control. One of the most powerful things you can do in life is walk away. Walk away from a job. Walk away from a bad relationship. Walk away from an eating disorder. Think about it. I mean, it's pretty powerful. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do is walk away. Walk away from a bad situation. It's a really powerful thing, right? If you have that ability. Now, if you can't walk away, then you have no control. You have no power. That's a really bad feeling when you can't walk away. Has there ever been a time in your life when you couldn't walk away and you wanted to? That's never a good feeling. And when you are enmeshed in an eating disorder, you feel like you can't walk away, that you have to do this. You feel it's a compulsion. That's what it is. All right.
I need your help. We can't expect for food to be a solution to any of the emotional problems that we're having. And so when we run to it and we look to it as a coping mechanism, that's what it is. That's what we have to recognize that it is a coping mechanism.
It is. And there are two thoughts on this. There's a coping mechanism, and then people like Catherine Hansen will say that it's purely neurological. You just have these urges from your brain. And if you didn't have these urges, I subscribed to that for a while, and then I realized that there were some real benefits to binge eating and bulimia. It was a nice distraction. It was comforting. I numbed out. You can't deny that. That's why I have come to believe that eating disorders, whatever they are a coping mechanism. Anorexia, maybe. I mean, that's more about like super control, right? Security, safety. But when you're binging, you're purging, it's familiar territory. And you can forget all the other problems you have in life. And you have this familiar foe. It is most definitely a coping mechanism. Having worked with people on this and having looked at my own story, yes, it definitely served as a way to cope with dissatisfaction. It was a nice distraction. It was comfortable. It made me feel good. And I liked living that cycle, like that cycle of guilt and repentance and then hope for a better future. Like tomorrow's going to be the day and I'm going to get super fit and I'm going to be lean and blah, 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 blah. And it never happened. But I liked chasing the prize. I just never wanted the prize, if that makes sense. All right. She's going to talk about respect here. I just talked about that.
My body is telling me. And so this is really cool because this is where it gets super personal for you. And that is to respect your health. So your body's health. And this is one of those things that only you learn about.
I don't know if you learn it, but you have to make health your priority. And it definitely wasn't for me for a long time. Like I pretended it was, but it wasn't. And when I first started out, I told myself it was about health. Looking back, no. There were other reasons why I did this. It wasn't just about health. It was about control. It was about alleviating that insecurity. It was about being better than anybody else. It was about not really attention, but I think for me, it was giving me some sense of control over my life. Okay. Hence, it was a coping mechanism. But I said it was all about health. But throughout all of those years, I read a lot of books about health. I just never really implemented it. I was always just like dreaming about it. I wanted to learn about it, but I never wanted to follow the plan. I never wanted to implement the advice. It was just like I was addicted to learning. I was addicted to this cycle of like hope. And hope itself can be a drug. Like you're just always chasing this thing. You never really want it. You just want to chase it. I would read books about health and then go binge. And then I would tell myself, starting on this date or whatever, then I won't binge. When I have this, then I won't binge. Well, it just never happened until I made it happen. Until I made health my priority. Until I changed my beliefs. Until I started taking action. Until I started to interrupt these processes. Hey, but for many years, I did not respect my health. I didn't respect myself. I wanted distraction, comfort, and numbness for many years. All right. What kind of workouts should you do?
Might not work for you. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you 3 ways that I have learned to listen to very specific things that my body has told me. And the first one being is I don't consistently, for long periods of time, on a daily and weekly and monthly and lifelong basis.
I don't know what you consider short. Is that like an hour or less? Or is that like 15, 20 minutes? Is that like a 30-minute class? I don't know. Like, what is a short workout? When I was losing weight, when I was in recovery, I usually did 15 minutes of weights and then an hour of cardio. Some people say, oh, that's a little too much. Okay, fine. That might be a little too much. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe you can do like 15 minutes of weight, 20 minutes of cardio. There's no ideal, but I didn't do anything really strenuous. I didn't train for any races. I wasn't going out, David Goggins. I wasn't trying to do an ultra marathon. I just did uphill walking, weights, and that was it for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half a day, because I had the time to do it and I enjoyed it. I definitely didn't feel like it was a compulsion. But is that a short workout? Is that a long workout? I don't know. Like, it's very subjective. All right. Talked about working out a lot. I'm going to skip this.
Going to be more hungry. And that's something I'm being honest, I never thought about that before. That I never figured out. I'm like, why am I hungry all day long? Why can I never be satisfied? It's because I was expending so much energy and my body was saying, hey, I need more energy. So I'm hungry. This next tip, I listened to my own advice and I did not start this when I first learned about it. And again, this was under supervision of my doctor. I learned about intermittent fasting. This is something.
There we go. Is that font looking weird on your screen? But the intermittent fasting is really just delaying your breakfast if you think about it. Instead of eating in a 12-hour window, you compress that to 8 hours. I think anything more than 8 hours, you're not doing intermittent fasting. I think 16-8, 16-8. Some people do 17-7. It's kind of what I do. Some people do 18-6. I know some people who are doing 24. Some people do 1 meal a day. Like there's always somebody taking it to the extreme. Like I'm just going to do 1 meal a day, so it's going to be 23-1. I like that simplicity, so you only have to eat 1 time a day. But if you live a real life, sometimes that's just not always possible. Can you always guarantee that you will be able to eat at this time? And for some people, you might be thinking about food all freaking day. And if you're eating a large volume of food and you have a history of binge eating, I don't know. I would advise against that. Anyway, she's not talking about 1 meal a day. She's talking about intermittent fasting. If you can wait until 10, 11 to have breakfast and then stop eating around 6 or 7, that's fine. I definitely wouldn't push it. I'm surprised she's recommending this in a recovery video. All right.
Again, there's nothing wrong. It's just learning to listen and respond to your body in a positive, good way. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear. So okay. Satiating meals. So this idea is the
satiating meals. This is why I don't recommend highly palatable, really tasty food like bread, croissants, muffins, pastries. Sorry for all the baked goods aficionados out there. You don't want stuff that is really palatable, really stimulating, really fun, really easy to chew, really easy to digest. You don't want stuff that lights up your brain. That's not what you want. You want foods that will satiate you. You want foods that are relatively low in calories, like caloric density here. Okay. like quinoa. That's 100 calories per 100 grams. Perfect. Avoid stuff like, donuts, pastries, stuff with a lot of flour, sugar. That's going to satiate you the most. That's why I say 90% of the time, you need to eat stuff that is functional, stuff that satiates you, stuff that makes you feel good, stuff that satiates your hunger, gives you energy, and also provides a lot of micronutrients, macronutrients too. You don't want stuff that is very highly processed, very high in calories, very easy to overeat, especially in the recovery period. All right. I think there's one more. She talks about experimenting here. This is kind of interesting.
I learned what my body thrives off of, how I have the most energy throughout the day. I noticed specific things about my personal body, that when I had a high sugar breakfast, I would feel really, really tired. I didn't have a lot of energy.
She's talking about experimentation.
Or when I would eat.
Okay, yeah. You need to experiment and figure out what works best for you. I guess this is one area where I'm intuitive. What I eat is based on experimentation. I know that a higher carb plant-based diet works for me. Is that working for everybody? No. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, you should eat exactly the way I do, because it's not going to work for you. Okay. But run a bunch of experiments, see what works and doesn't work. And if something isn't working, stop doing it. If something works, keep doing it. Double down. Do more of it, right? But you have to pay attention. You have to get feedback, which is something I didn't do in my orthorexic days. I was always denying myself. I was denying that I had a problem. I denied myself necessary calories and necessary food groups. I didn't do that. I should have been doing that, but I wasn't paying attention to the data, the feedback. So run experiments, see what works, get feedback, readjust. And constantly do that. Do that in every area of your life too. Don't ignore feedback. Don't be delusional. Do I have any more points? No, I don't think so. Those are all the points. So I will put a link to the original video in the link below, and I'll see any questions in the box, so I won't answer those. You should expect another video, another live stream, probably Sunday. We're going to try to aim for Sunday at 6 Pacific every week. I really like doing these. There's so many stories out there, so many videos. It's probably like 1,000 of them, probably 10,000. If there's a video and you want me to review it, send it to me and I will put it in the queue. Otherwise, I am going to end this live stream and I will see you soon. And don't forget to subscribe and check out my links in the box. Good night, everybody.